Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Spark data frame basics. Spark data frames are the workhorse and the main way of working with Spark and Python post Spark 2.0. Spark's data frames act as a powerful version of tables with rows and columns, easily handling large data sets. Now let's dig deeper into the subject matter. The first step is to create a data frame. Let's do that. This will create a data frame. This will create a Spark session. Now we need to start a Spark session. We'll start this Spark session. Now the third step is to actually load the data into a data frame. Let's do that. Data frame equal to Spark dot read dot JSON. So we are actually importing a file called people JSON, which is a practice file provided by the Spark. So we'll load this file. Now we need to show the data. How do we do that? Now next step is to show the data. I'll put the comment here. Okay. So this step is showing the data. We'll add some more steps underneath it. So we'll show the data now. df.show. So this is what data looks like. It is important to show the data to see if data is empty or there are certain columns missing or there's some issue with data. We have to see the data. Now let's understand how it is schema interpreted. Try to print a schema. This is important because we need to see how the schema is interpreted by the Spark. It will help us to later work with the data frame. I made mistake here. It should be dot, not comma. Okay. So age is integer as a long value, and name is integer as string value. It seems Spark has integrated correctly. Now I would like to see the how many columns does this data set have just by using a column function. It should be a not function, but it just should be not a variable, right? So it shows that it has two columns, age and name. Now let's try to see the statistics related to this data frame. What we want to do is if there's a numeric value, then we want to see the statistics that is computed by Spark, such as mean, max, average, those kind of statistics for each of the columns. And for name, it's going to be just a count of the names or strings. Standard deviation is one also one the numerical value or numerical property of statistics is calculated. So let's do that. Let's calculate the statistics for this data frame. Describe is a way to calculate do that. Describe show. So we see that after we do this, it will give us some information about the data frame. So for age, which is a numeric, it says there are two values for that. Mean for numeric it is 2.5. For string it is null. Standard deviation is null. It's 7.5 for age. Minimum is 19. Maximum is 30. Minimum is Andy and max Michael. So it just what it does is that what you see here is that minimum it just sorts by alphabetical order and gives you the highest value. That's the minimum, and maximum is actually the that comes at last in the sorting order, and that's the maximum when you sort by the alphabetical order, and that's how you get that. Count, mean, standard deviation, mean, and max. Those are five values you get. Now moving on, some data types make it easy to infer schema, like a tabular format such as CSV, which we will show later. However, you often have to set schema yourself if you are dealing with dot-read method that doesn't have infer schema built in. Spark has all the tools you need for this. It just requires a very specific structure. Now we'll import some struct fields from Python library. From pyspark.sql.types import struct field string type integer type struct type. These are types we need to import. Next, we need to create a list of structure fields in this format. Parameter name, string, name of the field, parameter data type, class, data type of the field. param nullable boolean where a field can be null or not. So there are three fields we need to put. Uh, Name of the field, which is parameter name, parameter data type, that is the data type of the field, and nullable, whether field is nullable. So there are three fields for each field, three attributes, no, three fields for each attribute we need to put. Now creating this new data structure. Let's do that. Okay, let's do that. Let's data schema. Data schema equal to struct field. Struct field, which is a construct, and it takes in three types. One is a column name, which is age, and integer type, that's the type of the column, data type, and where is nullable, true. Nullable is true, that means it can be empty. So second column we are interested in is struct field. uh, Name is another column name, and string type, string type, and true. So that's another column name. So we have two column names here. Okay, so what's wrong here? Struct field is not defined. It says struct field is not defined. We defined that, right? Okay, I think I forgot to put the comma bracket after the string type. That's why it's complaining here. Okay, now we have created data schema that we need. Next step is to create a structure using this data schema. Now we have this schema. Now using this schema, we'll create a structure or a table kind of thing. It's just like a schema. We just create a schema. Now we need to create actually a table with the schema. Struct type fields equal to data schema. So now we'll create a table that is called final struct using this data schema, which will have these fields. Now let's see what does this have. What does this final struct have? Okay, the show is a data frame. It's not data frame yet. Looks like okay. Print schema. Print schema. Let's so however let's see okay, it seems it is create this is a structure it created, and with this it create a schema. Let's see if let's see if we can avoid this step at all. Let's see if we can avoid this step and directly create a schema. Let's do that. Let's struct spark dot read dot json. Okay, people dot json schema final struct data schema. Let's do schema the data schema. Let's see what we get. Okay, let's do that. Okay, it's questioning whether schema should be struct type or string. Okay. So what we are doing is that we had the struct field. Those are the fields we created. These are just fields. Now we have to create a table. Okay. Fields. This is called field schema. And what we need to do is we need to create a table schema. This is a table schema. Okay. Table schema. We'll create a table schema here. That is of struct type. Struct type and fields equal to field schema. Okay. So we have table schema and we have field schema. There are two different schema here. Okay, table schema, field schema, and once we have the table schema, then we can assign table schema to the data load. Okay, we got that. So now let's see what does this data frame schema have. It has as we defined earlier, it has two columns. One is integer and one is string, as we defined earlier. Now let's see what kind of data this data frame contain. Mm, Okay, so now we are seeing the counts, minimum, mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum for each of the columns. There's not much difference between when we have integer and when you have long. It's just like a similar, not much difference there. Now we want to grab the data or search the data from the data frame. How do we do that? So one way is to write name of data frame and just simply write the column name there inside a bracket, and you have the and there you go, you have the column name. It will give you the column name, but next step is to see like what kind of data type this column name is of. For that we will write type and data frame h. Okay, so this the type of the data is column. This is a column type. So before even if we look inside the column, what kind of data type is it? We just say that this object is a column type. Type of the object is column type, and once we look inside, then only we can see what kind of data type is that. That's why it says type. It gives you column, and the type is column itself. So we want to see what does the kind of data this column contain, and for that we'll do df.select age and see like what kind of data this column contain, and it will say integer. Okay, integer, and now it is going inside the column and getting the data and saying that okay, this data is the whatever data is an integer data type, right? Now it was earlier we were outside object called column. Now we went inside the column and grab the data and saw that it's a integer data type. And next step is to actually use a function called type and see what kind of data type this data has inside the column. Type data frame select age, and it says that this this is a data frame. This data object is type of data frame. Okay, so when we did select, we show that this data frame has a column age. So we have this column, and inside it is data frame, and inside there is a data. So, okay, that's how it works. So let's write it down so that it can be memorialized for us. So we have column. Inside column we have data frame, and inside data frame we have data. So there's a hierarchy. So that's a basically hierarchy, and there must be table outside, right? Table name outside this. So we are at this point trying to say that okay, data frame this is a data frame, and inside it says there's age data there, and that's why we are getting data frame here. So let's see what's inside this data frame, inside this age, and we will do that by data frame dot select age dot show. Okay, this inside this data frame, if you just show that this data frame, you will see an age column with the certain list of number of rows inside that. This is the data frame for age. Now what if you want to just look at the first two columns of this data frame? Now not let's say now not only let's say the column, but like let's just say in a data frame in general. Let's see if I want to just look at the two rows, first two rows of this data frame. Then what we'll do is we'll do head, and we'll say is 2, and this will show us, return us the first two rows as an object within the data frame. Yeah. What I want to do is, not sure why is data frame coming here. Just trying to make it a little better. Okay, we can do that later. So what you see that it's a head 2 and head is 2. There's still lots of left here. So let's do this much for today, and we'll continue rest next week. Thank you so much. So before that, let's summarize what we did today. We created a Spark session. We did few exercises on how to show the data on data frame. We looked inside the data frame and selected certain data columns we were interested in, and also we computed some statistics regarding the data frame, like how many rows that there are, what's the minimum value if it's a numeric column, what's the standard deviation, what's the minimum value, and what's the maximum value if it's a numeric columns. Those are things we did. Thank you so much.